Greetings, my name is Gerald. Thanks for joining me again today on this YouTube channel. Today what I'm going to do is smoke 2 pork butts. I'm going to show you that process from beginning to end. But before I do that, I want to show you some of the things that if you've never done this before and this is like your first time and you want to do this, you're going to have a bunch of things ready if you smoke these pork butts the same way I'm doing it. So let me get into that right now. I'm going to show you what I have gotten ready to do this. Well, the first thing that I want to show you is I've sanitized everything. So the things that I'm using for sanitizing, and by the way, this is not a promotional video. No one is sponsoring me at all. But I use this Clorox cleaner and bleach. So everything gets bleached when it comes to things that touch the food. So my gloves that I'll be using later on, those come right out of a box, so those aren't bleached. But these insulated gloves that I use to actually pick up the meat from the smoker, those are all bleached. My countertops are bleached. I have these cutting boards, those are bleached. The other things that wouldn't get bleached are things that I do use. Here's a aluminum pan that hasn't been bleached. However, I also, after bleaching, you don't want the bleach on your food, obviously. So I use what's called Perel Food Service Surface Sanitizer. So this stuff here, apparently, you do not even have to rinse. It says right on there, no rinsing required. So what I'll do is clean my cooking or my cutting board, and then I'll spray this on it and then wipe it down. I don't just spray it on there and leave it. I do wipe it down, but it does say no rinsing. So the other things that I have that I need to have besides the aluminum pan is aluminum foil. Now I've got heavy duty 18-inch wide and 500 feet long. I got that on Amazon. What I'm going to be using on my smoker today is this CyberQ Cloud apparatus here, and what this does is it controls my smoker. So for those of you that don't know anything about smoking meats on a smoker that's controlled, this particular device will force air in the bottom of the smoker to make the temperature rise when the temperature inside the smoker dips below a certain preset figure on here. It's also connected to the internet, which I do not use that part of it. I constantly monitor whatever's on the screen here. Yeah, this is the device that goes into the bottom of my smoker, blows air into it. The other things are, I'm going to be using today raw unfiltered apple cider vinegar, and I'm going to be spritzing it on the meat from this sprayer here. So about every hour I open it up, take a look at it real quick, spray it, close it back up, and then continue on with the cooking, with the smoking process. Today I'm going to be using apple wood chips. I just got a generic bag of apple wood chips. This one just happens to be Weber brand. And then I'm going to need some brown sugar. We're going to end up putting the brown sugar on it during this process. And then also a jar or a bottle of yellow mustard. I suppose you could use other mustards. I've never tried them. This is not something that's going to season the meat. This is something that is going to be on the meat in the very beginning so that you can put your seasoning on it so it stays stuck to the meat. That's the only purpose that this is in the recipe, I guess you would say, process for, is to adhere your seasoning to the meat. Now I'm going to be using 2 different kinds of seasoning today. The first one is called, it says Chicken Fried Barbecue Texas Rib Grind. So that's what we're going to be putting on today. And also I have Meat Church Barbecue. It's called Holy Cow. It's a barbecue rub. I'm going to be putting that on. So we'll get into all of that, how that goes on there. And other than that, I think I'm about ready to get started. The very first thing that I have to do is get out there and get that fire going. And once the fire's going in my smoker, then I will be able to start processing the meat and get that on the smoker and get going with that. Well, it's I think about 5:45 in the morning. Sunrise isn't for another hour and 45 minutes yet, but I need to get this smoker going because this whole process of smoking everything takes about sometimes 10-11 hours, and I'm doing 2 of them today simultaneously on the same smoker. I'm gonna get these coals started. So this needs to go in the bottom of my smoker. I've got a water pan here. Catches the grease and keeps it moist. Got my vents all the way open. I'll let it go like that for a while I get my water. This is the process where I set up my CyberQ, and that's the controller for the smoker. But the CyberQ is set up right now so that the temperature of the smoker, I want it to get to 275 and hold there. And right now I've got everything wide open. So I'm gonna get it up to 275, then I'm gonna start closing these vents off. One will be closed off completely, the other one about halfway, and then there'll be an adjustment on the stack there. The 2 pork butts that I have, one is 11 pounds, just under 11, the other one is just over 9, so let's call it 9 and 11. And they're called pork shoulder butt roasts, bone in. So if you're gonna do this, that's what I use. This is a Smithfield, and the other one, generic, don't really know, Members Mark, Sam's Club, I guess it is. So what I've done here is I've set the preparation to unwrap these here by putting down a couple of paper towels so that this is going to be kind of messy. It can get kind of messy. A lot of blood in here, don't want any of that. So what I'm going to try to do is make as least possible mess as I can, trying to keep that blood in there. And not always the easiest thing to do, that's for sure. There we go. Got my garbage can right here. And because I'm doing 2 of them, I'm going to get both of them out at the same time. Okay, first thing I want to do here is pat these down, get them as dry as I can before I start cutting up the meat. Trimming off the fat. The next step in this process is to just cut off some of this extra meat that's hanging off of it. You know, you don't really need a lot of this extra stuff. We're gonna keep that fat part on there on both of these. When we cook these, we're gonna cook fat side down. That's just my preference. I want to get the seasoning on the meat, not on the fat part. even though we'll be using the fat part. There isn't a lot of trimming to do on these actually. Now this bone in, that's going to pull right out of there when it's time. It's kind of like an indicator of it's ready. All right, I think this one's just ready to go here. They're both ready to go. So one at a time, we'll use the little one first. After I'm done doing all this, I'll sanitize all my bottles because I will be picking them up without clean hands. So I think I might have enough mustard on this one that I can continue on with it. Probably have more than I need. We're going to lather it up on all the sides and the fat side. We're going to do the fat side first because when we're done seasoning it, we're going to flip it over, do the top with all that seasoning on it. We don't want the seasoning from the top to stick to the board. So then we'll pick it right up and put it on the smoker. All right, you do not have to worry too much about putting on your seasoning. If it's not too much seasoning, you don't have to worry about that because these things, there's so much meat here, and when it gets ripped apart later on and you're getting ready to serve it, it all fits in just perfectly. You really can't put too much of this stuff on. So what I do is I try to put it on to the point where I can barely see the mustard or the surface of the meat. And I'm not measuring out, obviously, any particular amounts of either one of these. I'm just using my gut feeling to put on as much as I feel necessary here. All right, we're going to do the sides. It's a little messy here. As you can see, there is a lot of seasoning on here. And again, I have done this a dozen times or more and over the years, and it has never come out poorly. It's always just great. People love it. They, when I was working at the sheriff's department, they would ask me to do events for them, graduation parties, that kind of thing, and then this is always a mainstay. I need to get these out to the smoker now, and then after I get them in the smoker, then I've got to put my apple wood chips in. Okay, what you want to do is you want to take and put this meat thermometer in the fattiest part of the pork butt, but not on the bone. And because I have two of them, I'm using 2 meat probes. And let's see. Number 1 is going to be the big guy. Number 2 is going to be the little one. Okay. They're all ready to go. See if I can show you a picture of that. That's what it looks like. So I've got my water pan there and my coals are going good. My temperature is really low right now because the top's open. So close that back up, get it to 275. And what we want is for this meat to reach 165 degrees. That's what the temperature gauge is set for, the CyberQ. Once these two get to 165, which I'm sure the smaller one will get there first, then I'm going to pull it off and do the next part of this process, which is wrapping it in aluminum foil and putting some brown sugar on it. So every hour this does get spritzed. So I think it's about 6:30, and another hour I'll set a timer, I'll come back out and I'll spritz these. And I do need to put my apple wood on right now. Okay, we'll get this back up to 275. My meat temperatures are 52 and 51 degrees. So the reason it's that warm is because I let them sit out overnight. Otherwise they would have been down around in the 30s, and that would just increase the cooking time, which I want to try to get this done as quick as I can, because it does take like 10 hours, especially on these big 11 pounders. All right, so my next step is to put these wood chips in. So what I do is I get them on this metal scoop here first. I open the door. I'll actually put a couple of these in, 2 or 3. That should be good. That's about a half a bag. Oh, smoke got in my eyes. All right. Okay, my temperature is a little too high. It says 184. So I'm gonna need to shut this down a little bit. So I'll restrict the flow of air in, restrict the flow of air out, and bring that temperature back down to 275, which right now it's dropping. It's 275 right there. If you can see that on the big dial, but you can't see it on the small dial. But it does say 275. So it actually dropped more than 275. So I think what I'll do is open this up a little bit. It's down to 265. Right there it dropped too. So we're good to go like that for right now, I would guess. Top shut tight, but there's a lot of smoke coming out of there. All those wood chips burning up, making things nice. The temperature's down to 260. It's those wood chips. It's giving it a really good burn right now. Wonder what that was. Never seen that happen. It lifted the lid up. Did you guys see that? I've never seen that happen. It's almost like what was in there. Wow. Couldn't have been, maybe it was the water made steam. Could that be? Because I did fill the water up really high. Wow, I've never seen that. Unbelievable. Okay. Well, now it's just a matter of waiting. I'll go set the timer for an hour and then we'll get the spritzer ready. By then, the sun will be coming up right over there. Is that a beautiful picture or what? Smoker going, sun coming up. Couldn't ask for a better scene. Today is supposed to be about 58 degrees, so should be nice. Well, it's been an hour and our temperatures are doing real well. The smoker's at 273. You can see the sun is just about up, and our temperatures on our pork butts are 76 and 74 internal temperatures. So now it's time to spritz them. I'll try to do this without dropping something here. Yeah, one hand free. That's what they look like. I got that cherry smoke on them. There's plenty of water I can see down there in the pan with an amount of drippings in it. Okay, we'll close those back up. Take a look at them again in another hour. All right, close her back up. Now it's been on for 2 hours. Well, it's 2:30 and we're into this now for 8 hours. Temperature on the smoker is 284, a little bit high. Close this a little bit. The first pork butt is 160 and the second one is 164. One more degree on the second one and we're going to pull that off. Number 2 is at 165. Temperature in the smoker is 271. And the pork butt number 1 is 161 degrees. So let's pull that off. My gloves are sanitized. Okay, when I pull the probe out of number 2, the temperature should go way down. Wow, the temperature in number 2 is actually the big boy. That's the one that's got the temperature. Huh. Let's pull it out. Take it over to the preparation table. I should have put that in a tray, but I didn't. All right, close it back up. Cook temp is 275. Okay, number 2 was the big guy. So now we need to set that temperature to 205. And we got 4 degrees left to go on the other one. Tasting mighty good. Had a little piece of it there. All right, here we are. I see a little piece right here that I just have to try. All right. I'm gonna drizzle a little bit of this honey on it. I didn't know we had this. I asked my wife if we had it, and she said, yes, we do. Okay. Just put a little bit of this on there. And some brown sugar. I got one stinking fly flying around. I don't think it's landed on any of the food yet. I'm gonna try to keep it off. And now what I want to do, I want to wrap this up nice and tight. Now if you remembered, the fat side on this was down. That was during the smoking process. Now I'm gonna turn around and flip this over and put the fat side up. Now this will leak because the opening for the aluminum foil is on the bottom. So that's why I'm gonna wrap it twice here. This is gonna act like a tray, but even though it's acting like a tray, it's still gonna leak. There's still gonna be a lot of juice coming out of it. Now that I got that set that way, I'm gonna put that in this pan, and we're gonna return this back to the smoker, and we wanna get this up to 205 degrees. Go ahead and do that. All right. Let me get this up to 205. Put our probe back in right through the aluminum foil. Now I'm not going to put any more water in there because water makes the temperature, I believe it makes the temperature lower. I could be wrong. The water is almost all gone out of that tray, and now it's just catching the grease. So if I just leave it that way, I think it's going to heat up faster, and then we'll get that done even quicker. But because we're into it right now, 9 hours. That's how long it took, 9 hours for that big one to get to 165. Now we just got to wait for the second one. I hear the alarm going off on the smoker, which can only indicate one thing. At this point, it is 7 minutes after 7, and that means that pork butt number 2 is ready to be taken off the smoker. Finally. Temperature 205. Pork butt number 1. Pork butt number 2, temperature 205. They both timed in at exactly the same time. All right, what I need to do is remove the bone from both of them and save the juices. Ooh, doesn't that look good? There's that bone. I think what I'm going to do is use one of these gloves. Hold on to it. If this bone pulls out with no problems, it's a good cook. Look at that. Pulls right out. Right out. It's done perfectly. Should I try some? It's got a sweet flavor to it. There's not a whole lot of juice in this one. Some, but not a lot. Close it back up. We'll put it in here. And that can go in the refrigerator for later. All right. I didn't get that much juice. I've been used to getting like that much in one of those mason jars out of 2 of them. Not sure why. Anyway, they're good. They're done perfect. I'm going to put them in the refrigerator after I let them sit for 45 minutes. It's just 7:15 right now. I'll let it sit till 8 o'clock. Then I'll come back out and put them in the refrigerator and let them cool off overnight. And tomorrow I plan on vacuum packing them, because there's a process that I use to reheat these with a sous vide or sous vide. And I will show that to you tomorrow after these come back out of the refrigerator. So until tomorrow, which will just be a couple seconds for you, let's get back at it again then. Well, it's the next day, and everything is set up for vacuum packing. And then also, I wanted to show you this precision cooker. They call it a sous vide. So first thing I'm going to do is get these pork butts out of the refrigerator. They've been sitting there all night, and we're going to vacuum pack those. Most of you already know how these vacuum packers work, so I'm really just going to be explaining this for those of you that don't know how these work and what I'm going to be doing with them. First thing I need to do is, this is the smaller of the two pork butts, so I'm going to measure out what I think I need as far as the size of the bag. We're going to seal one end twice. And we're gonna then, I'll turn this power off. It makes a little bit of noise. And then pull this out of here. So we got quite a bit of grease in the bottom, kind of holding it in there. I think I'll put some paper towels down. Go. Peel off some of this grease. I got way too much bag there, so I'm going to cut some of that off. So I won't go into vacuum packing the other one. I'll do that later off camera. But you can see now what we have is a meal ready to be prepared at any time. This is going to go into my freezer, and we're going to probably take this out with us when we go camping and put it in what is called a precision cooker, or otherwise known as a sous vide. And I'm going to show that to you, so maybe you haven't heard of that before, but it's an amazing device. It's great for camping. I'll show that to you, explain that to you now. This is the immersion cooker. This particular one is a ANOVA, A-N-O-V-A precision cooker. And this one's a 900 watt. I have another one that's 1,000 watt. I actually carry one of these in the RV when my wife and I and family go camping, along with one of these, so that we can take with us on our trips product like this. So it could be chicken, it could be brisket, it could be a pork butt here. Put the date on it, goes back in the freezer like I stated, and then when it's time to have that meal, it's so simple. So if I'm going to have the meal tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, and right now it's 10:45 a.m. in the morning the day before, what I would do is wait till about 5 o'clock at night. Then this thing would still be frozen solid. I would then take it and put it in the sous vide and let it go for 24 hours. So it'll go from frozen solid to 165 degrees if that's what you want the temperature at. That's usually what I set it at. It'll go to 165 degrees in 24 hours, and when you pull this back out and open the bag, it's just like it was when you put it in the bag or when you got done smoking it. So it's so amazing. It's kind of like put it in the night before, the next day go and do your thing while you're RVing, and then that night come back and you've got a meal all ready to go. It also comes with this outside insulated pocket that it goes in, so you can keep things even that much warmer. So I'm going to show this to you. I'm going to take it out of the box, let you see what it looks like, and I'm actually going to put this inside here so that you can see what it looks like and how it works. So it comes in two parts. This extra lid on top, you don't need to have that. I have it just to keep the heat in. But what you'd want to do then is put the water in your sous vide. Then you want to take this and place it on there like so. Line it up with the hole. Then the immersion unit goes in like that, and then you'll connect it up to the power supply. So this is what we're looking at here, and I don't know if you can read these numbers or not because I know there's going to be like a flashing. But right now it says that the temperature of the water is 55.9 degrees, and the bottom number here, 165.5, is the adjusted heat. So I can change that. Let's say I was heating up some steaks, and I only wanted them to be at 135, 136, 137. I can go ahead and control the temperature. On a pulled pork like this, or pork butt, I'd want it up to like 165. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put this in there, and we want it to try to make sure all the air is out of here because these things will float if you don't have all the air out. And we would simply just put it in there like that. And hit the start button. Right there it's at, let's see, 166, 165. I got the temperature set to, and the temperature of the water is increasing, 57.7. And what it does then is it circulates the water at the bottom there of that silver tube. I think you might be able to see the bubbles going around. And so if that was left to sit there like that for, like I said, if it was frozen to that 165, I think you could probably get it done in 12 to 13, 14 hours. But I'll leave it in there for 24 hours and it'll just keep it at that 165 temperature. Just another little note about this is that this would be perfect for like if you're having a party and it's graduation party. Someone at my place of employment where I used to work, they were having a graduation party, another guy was having a retirement party. So I was able to smoke these pork butts weeks in advance, put them in the freezer, and then the day of the party, I just made sure he had enough sous vides or precision cookers to get them in and get them heated up. You could put 2 of these pork butts in this large water container and get 2 of them done at a time. I think that's what we did. We had 2 sous vides, 4 pork butts, put them all together, and then he just ran them for 24 hours before the party. And the day of the party, I was there for one of the events, opened it up, put it in a Nesco warmer, and served it from there. You can add your own juices and things like that too as you go along. So I want to thank you for watching this video. For those of you that watched the entire thing, that's amazing. I really, really appreciate it. God bless, be safe, and thank you again.